Not be happy with the answer, but
Ryan Hoffman, you'll be happy. Your Storm are in the grand final again.
yeah, look, it's when you're getting yourself to the prelim, I think it's 10 out of the last 11 years. You're definitely giving yourself the
Unbelievable.
best opportunity. And yeah, Craig once again has done a tremendous job. And I think what happened after last year's grand final, the boys are pretty keen to get back there.
What I'm going to put your prediction on record. I'm not going to let you get away with that.
Yeah,
I know what you're going to do. You're going to say Storm, aren't you?
yeah, storm by 8, I reckon.
The turnaround is going to be discussed, isn't it? If the
Mm,
Storm win, unfortunately, and I think that's a shame.
mm.
But I think I agree with you. I think the Storm will come over the top in the last 20. Tell us a little bit about Bellyache, mate. You played most of your career under him, and it's absolutely amazing what he's achieving still.
Yeah, I did. It's funny because I my first year at Melbourne, my first year straight out of high school, first time being a full-time footballer was Craig's first year. So our first year we're exactly the same, and it's funny with Craig. Craig's known me since I was born. Our dads played together,
There you go.
and it was just serendipitous that he signed up. Actually, I signed with Melbourne, and then 6 weeks later, Mark Murray gets sacked. And then
Okay.
then a
Yeah.
couple of weeks after that, then Bellyache signs. So it was just a massive massive coincidence how it worked out. But I'll tell you one thing about Craig. He talks to the players a lot differently now than how he used to talk to us. And I'm not saying one way is bad or one way is worse, but you want to know what's great about Craig, and that's his ability to get the best out of people. So
Hmm.
the messages that he's giving players is no different to the same messages that he was giving us 20 odd years ago, 23 or 22 years ago, whatever it was. But he understands now that probably this generation doesn't respond
Mm.
as well. And that shows the bloke that, number one, he doesn't have an ego.
Hmm.
Number two, he is all about getting the best out of people. And he can change his delivery, but the message itself doesn't change. And I think that that's been his greatest attribute and why he's been such a great coach for so long is that he understands people. He understands what to make people think.
I mean, obviously, people see the coaching box footage of him when he goes ballistic, but
Yeah.
everything, whenever you talk to anybody from the Storm, the person is very different from that. So I guess what you're saying is you've seen him evolve over time during your career too, because if he was basically a rookie coach when you
It,
played under him.
it was in his first year. It was his first year
Mm.
taking hold of a team. And what he did really well when he took over the Melbourne Storm is that he had an impression that the Storm probably wasn't as mentally tough and physically tough as what they should be. So what he did is he got the senior players together. He got Stephen Kearney, Robbie Kearns, Matt Geyer, Rodney Howe, Danny Williams, Scott Hill. He got them together and pretty much told them, boys, I'm going to train you guys harder than you've ever trained before. I know you guys at the back end of your career, and I'm probably going to shorten your careers, but trust me, we will get something out of this if you trust in what I'm doing. But I'm going to need you guys to be leaders. So I come down as an 18-year-old, and I see your Robbie Kearns and like Stephen Kearney was a player I looked up to immensely,
Mm.
being in
Mm-hmm.
the back rower, and I'm seeing these senior players doing it. So as a young player, what do you want to do? You want to impress the senior players. So you bought into everything he was about, and that was a great attribute of Craig and understanding too on how to get the team together and getting the senior players to really lead and lead by example. So all these young players we have coming through, we didn't know any different. We just wanted to impress the senior guys.
Hindsight's a wonderful thing. When did you first realize you might be playing in one of the best teams of the decade or the 2 decades really, and under a super coach, if you want to use that term?
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, we first 3 years of Craig, we made it to the second round of the finals, but we couldn't get past the second round. And then I don't know, something clicked in 2006. It was the first time we saw the big four. Cooper Cronk.
Mm.
He didn't have a position. No one knew what to put him in, and we lost Matt Orford. So we go, hey Cooper, do you want to go at halfback? So Cooper turned himself into the amazing halfback. Cameron Smith was coming into his own as a hooker. Funnily enough, in that year, Billy Slater didn't play too much because he was suspended, and that's when we really saw the emergence of Greg Inglis. And when we went through that season, I think we lost maybe 4 or 5 games that year and got through to the grand final. we thought we had something really special. And then when we lost that grand final and came back the next year and only lost 3 games, and obviously to win, we thought, okay, we understand that we're a good team, we're something special, and managed to play in 4 grand finals on the trot.
That's right. Yeah.
Before something significant happened.
Look, you're talking to a non-salary cap fan, mate. So
Yeah.
honestly, it's and the thing that shits me about that is I don't think they should have ever taken the titles off you. That's the thing. But by all, if the club was guilty of something, fair play, dock them some points. But to take the titles, that's shit.
Well, look, we the club did the wrong thing, but we got let down by poor management. The players, we didn't know anything. We didn't do anything. Trust me, we weren't getting brown paper bags or
you got them at St. Greg's, mate. The brown paper bags.
I wish. But yeah, and look, it's look. What's happened. We know what happened. We were there. We won those games. We know money doesn't make you play together. If money made you play better, why hasn't every team that's been over the salary cap won a premiership?
You and all the guys and Craig Bellamy won the premiership, and I worked at Manly, mate, at the time, and I'm still saying that too. So, and it's really something front of mind for me at the moment because I'm writing an article for Zero Tackle this week about the coaching trees, and whoever wins the grand final this coming weekend, I've had an influence from Tim Sheens.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, as I've been going through the article, I've been totaling up all the grand final wins, and you have to put this asterisk next to 2 all the time, and it's just a pain in the backside. Anyway, we move on. I'll tell you what must have also been a pain in the backside. You were playing against a very good Queensland side, weren't you? And half of them were your teammates.
Yeah. To be honest, mate, that Queensland team was the greatest rugby league side ever put on a park.
Yeah.
It really was. Like, they were tremendous, and I was playing during Origin in that period where they were at their prime. And it's funny, you look at all those Origin results. I think there was 1 clean sweep in those 8 years. There was 1 clean sweep. So New South Wales were competitive, and a lot of those deciders, it was only 2 points or a field goal. So New South Wales were always in it. It wasn't. It was a dominant period in that fact of winning all the series, but each individual series wasn't as dominant as what you might think. But that also what made it so much special when we did win the series in 2014, and to be a part of that. I'll be honest with you, I thought it was the one thing in rugby league I wouldn't achieve. I thought.
Who were your coaches during that Origin era? Because
I had
mixed up.
So I had my first year was under Graham Murray.
Yep.
Graham Murray gave me my debut. And then the next year, actually, Bellyache was the coach.
Yeah.
So I played 07, 08, then didn't play again to 2013 when Laurie Daly was the coach.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then I played 13, 14, 15.
Do you remember any particular dressing room scene? I mean, obviously the one when you won would have been amazing, but a real dressing room scene where it was the one that got away and you're thinking to yourself, are we ever going to beat this Queensland side? Do you remember? Is there one that sticks out in particular?
Yeah, it was in 2013. 2013, we won the first game. We lost the second game in Brisbane, and then the last game was in Sydney, and it was really close. Like, it was close right to the death, and we genuinely thought we had a chance. And Queensland took it out, and as they do in the last 10 minutes, I think we ended up losing by 2, and it was just a bit of same old. We're thinking, how are we ever going to do this?
I'm surprised you didn't get a game at halfback because they seem to be changing the person in the number 7 quite a lot during that time too.
They did, but it's funny, in 2014, the series we won, our halves were Josh Reynolds and Trent Hodgkinson, who probably don't have the NRL resumes of a lot of other guys, but it just showed that when those guys played in those games, that they were the right players for the right time.
You get picked in the team of the decade, which is no small feat considering some of the players that were in that side that also played for Queensland too. And then in 2011, you end up on the other side of the world. Now, I heard these tales of a young Ryan Hoffman who never used to go out partying with all the boys when he was in year 11 and year 12. And that's because I was working at the school that you used to be at. And so before we go to Wigan, tell us about your time at St. Greg's and tell us how you got picked up to go to the Storm.
Yeah, so I grew up in Campbelltown. I was a Campbelltown boy, and out there in Western Sydney, and I always wanted to go to St Greg's. I knew
Hmm.
it had the rugby league history, so that's where I wanted to go to school, and I absolutely loved my time at Greg's. I really did. And when I was 15, I got signed to a scholarship contract with the West Tigers, and I had that for 3 years, and then in my last year of school, I got approached. Actually, it was my second last year of school. I got approached by Melbourne, Peter O'Sullivan from the Storm,
Hmm.
and I said, "Sorry, mate, I'm still contracted at West." And he said, "Yep, no worries." And then he came back the following year when I got picked in the Australian schoolboys, and they asked me if I'd be interested in going to Melbourne. And at the time, I was ready to leave the West Tigers. The West Tigers were in a bit of a stage where they were sort of in between coaches, in between Terry Lamb and Tim Sheens, and I just felt I needed something different. I'd love being a West junior and everything like that, but just felt I needed something different. And in the end, it came down to the Roosters and Melbourne. And surprisingly, Roosters offered me more money, but Melbourne gave me the opportunity to be full time. So it wasn't going to be a full time contract under the Roosters. So Melbourne gave me the chance to go straight in the top squad. And as an 18-year-old, that's what you want. You want opportunity. And for me, the closest for me to getting play NRL is if I was full time. I was excited to leave home. I had a wonderful family life. I had the best family life in the world, but I was
Hmm.
excited to leave home. So yeah, my last year of school, I signed with Melbourne and realised that this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to move down to Melbourne and be a professional rugby league player. And I moved down, and they put me in a house with a bloke by the name of Cameron Smith, and Billy Sladen moved in a couple of weeks later, and just went
Yeah.
on from there.
I mean, that would have been a little bit of a culture change for you to go down to Melbourne, but probably nothing like 2011 when you
Mm.
first signed for Wigan. Had you been to England before?
Yeah,
You Four
I've been
Nations.
in. Yeah, I went. I went in with the Australian schoolboys actually. Uh,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
that same year that I signed with Melbourne, we're actually the first Australian schoolboys team to lose a series.
And I
We got
think I
beat.
remember who the coaches were in England. I think Mike Gregory might have been one of the
Yes,
coaches.
he
I think.
was. Do you
Yeah.
remember the captain?
The late Mike Gregg. Yep.
Captain was Gareth Hock.
Yep.
Who else?
Yep.
I think AD Gardner was in that team. John Wilkin.
Did
So
you have a blue in the game? Any of the games? Because they're normally quite feisty. Those
did
ones.
we have a blue or did we have about 10?
Did a game of rugby league break out amongst the
Yeah,
fighting?
there was. We had some fiery guys like Ashton Sims and Mick Wayman and Tommy Leroy with the Aussies, and obviously Gaz Hock knew how to throw a few. So
Yep.
it was. Oh yeah, and Ryan Bailey. So there you go.
The tour 3 years before, I
Yeah,
was a spectator, and it was literally the best rugby league fight I've ever seen
yeah,
between Aussie schoolboys and the British Academy as it was then. So anyway, you end up at Wigan and
yeah.
you play under a certain coach who's coaching in a grand final this weekend as well.
Yeah,
Um,
it was in 2010. Melbourne were in a bit of strife for their salary cap, and Madge had just gone over to England, and I knew I wanted to go to England at some stage.
mhm,
Madge knew that, so he actually called up and says, "Mate, how about you come over, let Melbourne sort their stuff out, and just come over and just have a different experience." And
mhm,
I was umming and ahhing about it, and then I thought, well, yeah, let's just do it. It's been such a tough year. Let's do a thing, and let's make a change. And it was the best decision I ever made in rugby league. Like I really underestimated how much going somewhere new and being a part of something different, how much it would just be so much better for my football. And when I came back to Australia, I came back a better footballer having been played in England. And to go to such a wonderful club like Wigan, I mean, what Madge had done there, obviously winning the Premiership the year before, winning the Super League the year before, and yeah, I'm a rugby league nerd. I love my rugby league history. All I ever wanted to do was play at Wembley
mhm.
in a Challenge Cup. But to sign at such a historic club like Wigan with a lot of expectation, it was like just going to another NRL club on the other side of the world. And my wife and I just got married, and to live in a town like even living in Wigan was brilliant. Like a village or town, sorry, that just loves their sport so much, and
Yeah.
it, it's that tribal sort of thing of you support your town. That's who you are. That's what you're a part of.
You can't go to your local news agent without them asking you about the game at the weekend or
Uh, so
anything
I'll,
like that.
so I'll tell you a story. First day in England, we get to our house, need some stuff. So we go to the Tesco. where the old Central Park used to be, and we're waiting in the checkout. And I'm talking to my wife, and there's an old lady next to me, and she hears me talking. And she goes, "You're the new Australian." I said, "Yeah, how you going?" I said, "Yeah, excited to be here." And she just looked up and she leaned in and goes, "If you don't beat St. Helens, I'll drive you to the airport myself."
There you go.
And then that's when I just sort of realized my wife looked at
Yeah.
me in horror, but that's what it was, and it
Yeah.
was just being a part of that feeling within the town. And when I remember getting on the bus going down to London to play in the World Club Challenge, I remember coming back on the bus driving through Wigan after winning the World Club Challenge. Like it was such a special experience.
What about the sights and sounds and all the effects on your senses of being in England? So I know that when I go back to England, I forget that the plugs are shaped differently, and
Yeah.
everyone gets up out of bed later and goes to bed later. What were the things that struck you when you lived there? What are the stories you've told in the decade since about your time living in England?
The story is it's probably the fact that as soon as it snows there, everything shuts.
Yeah, as
Everything
if it never snows ever. Yeah.
that's it. But my favourite memory that I love telling people was going to the Boar's Head in Wigan for a Sunday lunch, and listen to old mate playing his music, and just in the summer doing it with a pint of cider, and like those sort of things, and those sort of experience. Um, just being around the town. And I always classed it as real England. Up north is real England. Down
That's
London,
right. Yeah,
that's not real England. Up north is what real England is.
absolutely.
And yeah, it was just such a special experience. And look, I've managed to go back plenty of times with World Club challenges and everything like that. But
Hmm.
it was something that I was so proud of doing, and so proud to be called a Wigan Warrior, a former Wigan Warriors player.
Any chance your kids were born over there, or
No, no, no.
right?
They were born back here, and look, I do regret not going back. I do regret not going back to back to England later on in my career, because yeah, I thought it would have been, but yeah, things just didn't pan out.
You had a second and third spell at Melbourne, didn't you? And
They
sandwiched in
couldn't get rid of
between
me.
that
Yeah,
was the Warriors.
yeah. Had three years at the Warriors. And as I said, that 3 years when I came back from England, probably three of my best years I've ever played at rugby league, especially 20.
Mm.
I thought that's the best year I ever had. But yeah, went over to New Zealand. It was a great opportunity there to hopefully get the club to a bit of success, because you got to think with the Warriors too. If they successful, they got 5 million supporters. They'd be the biggest
Mm.
rugby club, not just rugby league and rugby union club in the world, because
Hmm.
they got the whole country behind them. And look, that was a wonderful experience to take the family and that over there. Footy was I was disappointed that we didn't achieve any success. We didn't get to the finals the 3 years I was there. But as an experience, I really enjoyed it. I did everything I possibly could, and
Who
yeah,
were your coaches there at Warriors at the
it
time?
was Andrew McFadden and then Steve Kearney my last year.
Yeah, so somebody you looked up to.
Yeah,
Um, Probably a question that's really relevant considering we're about to welcome Perth and PNG into the NRL too. How did you find those few years where you had to travel across the Tasman every other week?
it's travel. Like
Mm,
it wasn't really an issue.
okay.
Look, I never found that an issue. I mean, Australia and New Zealand's not getting any closer. So
No,
there's literally nothing you can do. And the thing I've really focused on my whole career was focusing on what I can control. You can't control distances. You just deal with it.
no. Yeah.
And look, I remember we played games in Perth. That a team would always have us play a game in Perth, so we'd catch
Mm.
the 8 hour flight from Auckland to Perth, play the game. It is what it is.
You played for Australia 6 times, and am I right in thinking you missed playing against England or Great Britain each time for one
Yeah.
reason or another?
Unbelievable. I played in a few Four Nations and all those sort of stuff, and for whatever reason, I just never got picked to play against England, which is a huge regret. I played against the Kiwis 5 times and against France once, but yeah, I remember in '09 in the Four Nations, I got picked for the first test against New Zealand. We had a draw, and then it was me and someone else who got dropped for the second test. And the same thing happened in 2014. I got picked for the first test against New Zealand, then dropped for the second one against England. So yeah, that was a great regret, because I enjoyed playing schoolboys against England. But yeah, the fact I never got to play a proper test match against England was disappointing.
What would it mean to you to have played against England or Great Britain?
Well, look, as I said, I'm a rugby league nerd and rugby league historian. I was a kid getting up at 2 a.m. to watch an Ashes game in
There you go.
1990.
Yeah.
That's who I was. I was getting up early to watch Challenge Cup finals and all those sort of things. So with the history that Australia and England have within rugby league, and yeah, I remember watching those great games played at places like Old Trafford and Wembley. Um, it would have been really special. And look, it was a shame it never panned out. I wasn't obviously playing good enough at the time, but look, it was what it was. But yeah, I was a very jealous spectator when I was in the Australian squad and watching Australia play England.
What's the first series you can remember?
1990.
What a second test that was.
Yeah. 1990. I remember when I remember we were living in Adelaide at the time, and we had these English family next door. And then when Dad worked out England beat Australia, he stuck his head out the window. Get those bloody pommy kids out of my pool. I'll never forget that.
Because Britain won at Wembley, didn't they? And
Yeah, they
then in
did.
the second test, I mean, was that the best game ever, do you think?
Oh,
Or
it'd have to be close to it.
have to be close?
Yeah, it'd have to be close to it.
My first memory is 86. I went to the first test at Old Trafford, and I don't support Manchester United. Who do you support in the English Premier League?
I'm a cheater. I'm Liverpool.
I don't know if we can be friends, but
Yeah.
I'm a blue. Um, and I was just sort of like, oh, it's not City. And then 1988, for some reason, I was on the sofa at my dad's place because people were staying over.
Mm.
And for some reason, I woke up early and I turned the TV on. And Britain were playing in the third test at the new Sydney Football Stadium. And Mike Gregory
Oh,
had just gone length of the field.
yeah.
Henderson Gill did a bit of a boogie, etc. And I'll never forget, as long as I live, my dad's face. He woke up a little bit later and he looked at the screen and could not believe that Britain were beating Australia, even though it was a dead rubber test and Britain hadn't won for 10 years.
Mm.
And Adrian Morley was on a program not so long ago saying exactly the same thing in his house. His dad went in, woke up all three brothers and said, "Get down here, watch this." And I guess because you're a rugby league nerd, you're very well placed to tell people what England versus Australia means and what, in particular, what it means to the English.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's they're going to be ready, aren't they, in a few weeks' time?
Without a doubt, and knowing Sean Wayne the way I do as well,
Mm,
knowing Wayne and how his mentality in and pride that he has. I remember the pride he had when he was coaching Wigan, and that pride just carries on into England
mm,
as well. And like it is the ultimate rivalry. Like it goes through cricket, it
mm,
goes through everything. Every sport between Australia and England culminates with us against each other. And
mm,
that's what makes it so special with the country's history and everything like that. I mean, it is I think the ultimate sort of rival.
yeah, yeah. The There's a whole generation of players, including yourself, that would never experience an Ashes series.
Mm, yeah.
Um, and there's also a big generation of players now who haven't played against England because they've not played them since 2017. What's your, I suppose, a prediction for what's going to happen?
Well, to be honest, it's probably Australia is probably at its I'm not going to say weakest point, but at a point where so many players have pledged allegiances to Pacific Island nations, and
Mm,
which is great for the international game. Look, for rugby league to be a world force, we need to have a strong international game, and I think it's great that all these Pacific Island nations are getting stronger and stronger. But so there is a bit of a challenge with what's happening. Sorry, give me 1 second. I'm just going to tell my kids to keep it down a bit. Apologies about that.
no, you're all right.
Yeah, I think it's a period of time where Australia is probably not going to be as strong as what it has been in previous years due to the
Mm,
Pacific Island nations and a lot of players you see in Origin. Origin used to be the best 34 players playing, so you pick the best 17
Hmm.
to play for Australia. It's not like that anymore. You see a lot of high quality players pledging allegiances to Tonga and Samoa. But so it's a great opportunity for England. Look, Australia's still going to be very strong. They're going to be very strong in the key position areas, your halves, hookers, and fullbacks. So I think it's shaping up to a great series, and England should be confident. England should be really confident what they're doing, and in keeping my eye on the Super League the way I do, seeing how well teams like Hull are, and obviously Wigan with strong English representation. It's really setting them up very well. Unfortunately for England, they don't get to play as many internationals or don't
No.
get to play as many high top quality games against each other, which Australian players do, obviously with Origin and just due to proximity. Yeah, internationals against New Zealand, Tonga, and Samoa.
Do you remember the 1995 World Cup?
I do.
Half the Australian team were at home because of the Super League
Yeah.
war, and Australia still managed to win the World Cup. Do you think this is a similar time for Australian selection in terms of the defections? Do you think there's that many players that have gone to Tonga, Samoa, where England in Victor Radley's case too?
Yeah.
Do you think we're going to have a similar scenario where England might take a game because they're a little bit underprepared, a little
I
bit un,
Yeah, I've
undermanned?
I've no doubt in my mind England can take England can definitely take a game or two away,
Mm,
and Australia need to be under no certain illusion. Like it's a long NRL season too. It is a
yeah,
very long NRL season. Some of these guys are going to get picked for play for Australia. Haven't wouldn't have played in quite a number of weeks. So the ones that did play go deep in the finals. They could be a bit battered up.
yeah,
And it's changing. You're coming from Australia where it's about 25, 26 degrees, and you're playing in the cold. You've got to get yourself up to go to training. Those bumps and bruises take a little bit longer. If I was Sean Wayne, I'd be feeling very confident about our chances. But in saying that, Australia, they've got unbelievable talent.
yeah.
It's Kevin Walters' first time coaching Australia. He's obviously got a lot of pride in what he does as well. So it's going to be a really exciting series, and hopefully I think when the NRL season, Super League season finishes, the excitement really lifts up for it because I think it's going to be great. Especially, I think the crowds look fantastic. I think the grounds that they're playing at really is giving it the respect it deserves.
What you're looking forward to when we go over in a couple of weeks? What's the first few things you're going to try and do? What beer will you drink, or food will you try, or what place will you go and look at?
Yeah, look, well, the start in London, absolutely love my time in London. Probably end up
Mm.
at the walkabout like every single other Australian,
You'll
every
get a
single
job
other.
behind the bar.
Yeah, that's oh geez, those were the days. Those were the days. But yeah, look, I've been chatting to a lot of guys. I'd love to get back up to Wigan and been speaking to Tommy Luluai and
Okay.
love to have a pint at the Boar's Head and.
Yeah.
But really excited to see the new. They're not calling it Goodison Park, are they? The new Everton.
It's Bramley Moore or something. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, but really excited to see that because
yeah.
there's nothing England does better than rectangular stadiums where
That's
you
right.
feel
Yeah.
the crowd on top of you. And that's another special thing I loved about England is because the grounds are so close and they're so on top of it because they're set up for soccer. So
Yeah.
like even the 30 and 40 is only 5 meters apart. The 30, 40 meter line are only
That's
5 meters
right.
apart. So you just feel nice and compressed and feels like everyone's on top of it. It's just such an amazing
Did you
atmosphere.
ever slide into an advertising hoarding when you tried to score a try or stop a try or anything like that?
No, I came close scoring a try at Wigan one day, but no, that was just Paddy Richards. He was the one diving into the advertising boards or pushing blokes in. Or
Yeah. It's a common occurrence, and the in goal's about a meter long.
yeah, especially at Old Trafford. She drops off there at Old Trafford too.
So if you were 10 or 15 years younger, I dare say you wouldn't have been changing allegiance to any other country. You would have definitely pulled on the green and gold.
No, you don't choose your allegiance as far as
No.
I'm concerned.
Do you have family that are from different
No,
areas, or
no, we're pretty staunchly as Australian. I've got some,
dinky die?
yeah, I've got some Irish heritage a while back, but
Yeah.
for me, you don't pick where you're from.
Mm.
Like,
Hmm.
look, I totally respect. I'm not a Pacific Islander. I don't have families from different cultures. I don't understand. I respect their cultures, but I don't understand how much it means to them. I try to learn, but I don't understand. But for me, you don't pick and choose. You
Pre-
know where you're from.
Prediction time to finish. So, grand final prediction on the record, Mr.
Yeah,
Hoffman.
Storm by 8, and I reckon Jerome Hughes, Clive Churchill.
Ashes series result.
2-1 Australia. I reckon Australia might drop the first one, and then England will pick up the next two. Sorry, England will pick up the first one, then I reckon Australia will get the last two. But
my
she's
predict-
definitely going to a decider.
My prediction is that England will win at Wembley because I think Australia fly in 6 days before or something.
Yep.
No warm up game, something like that. I wonder if somebody will do a Moz and take somebody out after 12 seconds. And then what I think happened in '03 was they got together and after the game and said, basically, we'll let Moz play as long as we can have an Australian ref for the next two games. So those games will start to happen as well. I think there'll
Yeah.
be some interesting refereeing. I think so.
Well, that's mate. If you don't think Wayne's in there already, if you
I
don't
know.
think Wayne's in there already having a yarn, mate, he is.
Oh, he'll have him round his house making them tea and everything. Don't you worry about
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Without a doubt. But
that.
that's a funny. So I remember that Adrian. I remember I got up to watch that game. I got up to watch it, and I remember seeing Adrian Morley off the kickoff.
Yeah.
Kickoff happens, and 2 seconds later, he's 15 meters ahead of the rest of the line.
I live just down the road because I used to work at Wigan and I'd left and I was just down
Yeah.
the road and for some reason I didn't go to the game. Couldn't believe it, and I could hear the crowd from
Oh,
my.
Adrian Morley. I've never been afraid of anyone on the footy field, but he was the one bloke that before I took a hit up, I made sure I scanned just to find out where it
Yeah.
was because I needed to know where that bloke was coming.
Well, there you go. That's a good one. Like any others that you're really worried about in the same way?
Ah, no, Morley was something.
Yeah, he was different,
He,
different
he,
gravy,
he
weren't
was
he?
he was really something different. There were some hard hitters like coming up against like guys like Petro and Gordon Tallis and all those sort of things, but no one had a presence like Adrian Morley. Like Sam Burgess to a certain degree, but he wasn't on Moz's.
Moz was 2 years above me at Eccles, the
Yep.
Eccles Club, and
Yep.
and at the school down the road. So I've seen him in all sorts of scenarios, mate. And yeah,
Oh, yeah.
he is different gravy. Ryan, thanks so much for your time, and I look
Pleasure,
forward
mate.
to catching up with you in the UK.
Thanks, mate. Can't wait.